Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of No Huddle Necessary. And as you all can tell, I am not Jeff Barnes. Our most amazing host is not here with us today, so I'm holding the fort down while he is out and away. But as always, we got a great show for you all. No Huddle Necessary is a nuts and bolts sports production where we come together and we get some of our best analysts, sports writers, all of that good stuff. Everyone on the team come in here and debate about the most recent NFL topics. So today we got a good show lined up for you guys. We got some really good analysts, some guys who you all have seen here before. So first we're going to bring in Keith.
I know, me again.
Keith, how you doing, man? How you
Good,
feeling?
man. How you doing?
Oh, not too bad, not too bad, not too bad. Glad to have you back. And also we got Philadelphia's own, the Super Eagle fan, Thomas.
What's going on, everybody? I'm
How you
here
doing,
to run
Thomas?
the show, and let's steal the show. I'm all right. I can't complain.
You look like you got a nice haircut there, Thomas. You feeling good about yourself?
A little bit, all $20 of it. It's okay. It's all right. Try to stay in touch some way somehow.
Okay. And we have Bill. Bill is on with us today.
Evening,
Bill,
gentlemen.
how you doing today, Bill?
Well, I woke up alive.
That's always great.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, now that we have all these fine gentlemen on today, I think we're ready to go ahead and get into topic one. So let's go ahead and get into the first quarter. Alrighty, so topic one, we got Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. The Bills started off 4-0. We're looking great. Josh Allen, he's in that MVP conversation. And now back-to-back losses. They're 4-2. Are we still on the hype train for Buffalo? Is Buffalo serious? What's going on here in Buffalo? Keith, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
It's hard to say for sure. I mean, if you look at the two teams they lost to, they were ranked 23rd and 16th respectively, that being the Titans and the Chiefs. You look at their 4 wins, they faced the 20th, 18th, 4th, and 24th ranked teams total defensively, which was the Rams, Bills, I forget the other two. But the key point is the Rams, who are currently the 4th ranked total defense in the NFL, is a team they scored the most against. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I think when you break it down, you have to look at the competition they face in the 4 wins versus the 2 losses. The Jets, Dolphins, Rams, and Raiders are really not seen as teams that are going to be huge threats in the playoffs. However, the Titans and the Chiefs are bona fide playoff teams, and the Chiefs are considered by many to be a Super Bowl contender. In the 2 losses, Josh Allen has only thrown for a total of 385 yards, which is about 193 a game. In the 4 wins, he's thrown for 1,326 yards, which is about 331 yards per game. So clearly, at this point, the team is most successful when Josh Allen is throwing the ball and stretching the field and throwing it well. Am I off the hype train? Not quite yet. I still have them outside my top 10, but I think there's 14 teams going into the playoffs this year with how COVID has everything messed up. I think they still make the playoffs, but I think the next few games, especially the game against Seattle that they have coming up, is going to prove whether there's going to be a team in the playoffs or a team that's going to make some noise in the playoffs.
All right. How about we go ahead and get Bill in here? Bill, what are your thoughts on Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills?
Well, I can't get off a hype train that I was never on. I never bought them as the best team. We'll see what happens. I still think the Patriots at some point catch them and pass them up. As was mentioned, because of the extra added wild card teams, they're going to make the playoffs, and they should. They're good. They're a playoff level team. They have great coaching. Sean McDermott's one of the top 8, top 6, maybe even coaches in the whole league. And when Josh Allen is good, and once again, it's funny because Ryan Fitzpatrick at one point was the quarterback there, and he's got a lot in common with a guy like Fitzpatrick. When he's at his best, you get to see all the things that make evaluators fall in love with a quarterback. Size, arm strength, moves incredibly well. He's basically white Cam Newton. I mean, he's a really good athlete. He's an elite level athlete at the quarterback position. But he still has a tendency to stare down receivers. When he throws an interception, it's not just barely up. No, it's a boom, hit somebody dead in the chest kind of interception. He's a guy who still believes he can make every single throw. Now, to his credit, he's worked hard. I didn't know if he'd ever get to be as good as he is now, but it's hard to completely change who you are, right? Brett Favre never stopped being Brett Favre. He went out guns a-blazing, which is cool sometimes, but you can't be that all the time. So we look at what Carson Wentz sometimes falls into, right? We see some of his habits, good and bad. And once again, some of the similarities are there. So here's the thing I would really focus on for what lies forward for the Bills. One, can they improve their run game? Can they improve their run game? Because if you're going to make Josh Allen throw the ball 40 times a game, you're going to win some shootouts and you're going to lose some ugly blowouts also. The Bills' defense is no longer what it was really just, end of last year. They were at one point, they were a top 6 or 7 defense, and they're now, I can't remember exactly where they are, but somewhere in the teens, if I remember correctly. And if you're going to have a team that doesn't really run the ball or doesn't do it well, except, I guess, their quarterback, I think he's led the team in rushing 2 or 3 weeks out of the season, and that's not really what you want. If you can't really run the football, if your defense is no longer elite, you're going to get into more shootouts than you want to be in. And not really built for shootouts. I mean, let's be honest. That's not a team built to win shootouts. Can they do it occasionally? Sure. Josh Allen is super talented. But if you go to that well too many times, you're going to drown.
All right. White Cam Newton. I like that comparison. I like that comparison a lot. Thomas, get on in here. Tell me how you feel about Buffalo.
As far as this whole hype train is concerned, that train's looking pretty rocky. And I would say there should be a little bit cause for concern. The games that the Bills have won so far, they've scored over 25 points. Their 2-game losing streak right now, they haven't eclipsed 20. Okay, so in order to get wins in this league, you have to score points. You're struggling to do so right now. Josh Allen is not helping. The turnovers that we talked about that's plagued him in the beginning of his career so far is starting to creep up on him again. The first 3 weeks of the season, he threw just 1 interception. Okay, the last 2 weeks he's thrown 3. Okay, and his completion percentage has dwindled in each game since week 2. He's gone from 72.7 percentage in his completion to just 51.9. Okay, so that's not good. and what doesn't help is the schedule. After an essential bye week against the putrid New York Jets, fire Adam Gase. They face New England and Seattle at home, and then they visit the Cardinals. Seattle's defense is tied for first in takeaways. So Josh Allen, that interception thing that's going on, you might want to stop that. You have New England, that's a top 10 defense in yards allowed. They're ranked 9th. Okay. And then you have the Cardinals that are top 10. They're a top 10 defense in sacks. They're ranked 7th. So you have a lot of variables going on in Buffalo right now, where Allen's struggling to carry the ball. The defense is not too great. I think the moment Josh Norman got shuffled out of the league for a little bit, the defense hasn't been the same, and it's showing. So I don't want anybody to think that this Jets game is going to show much anything. But these next games after that, New England, Seattle, and Cardinals, you'll get to see where the Bills are in terms of whether they're for real or not. I think they're going to be legit. in terms of them going far in the playoffs, I don't think so.
All right. So I want to get all you guys in here real quick because you all made really great points. I think the biggest takeaway for me when I look at Buffalo, what's been more surprising than how well Josh Allen has played. Now, he struggled these past 2 games, but what's been more surprising is that defense has not looked good. That defense was supposed to be something that we all talked about as being top 10. That was the strong point, and they've been mediocre at best all season. So it's really interesting what's going on in Buffalo right now. I'm going to ask you all a quick question, and I want a one-word answer from each and every one of you. Do they win this division? Bill first.
No, I still
No?
believe in the Patriots. Sorry.
Okay, Keith? No, you're good. Keith?
No.
No? Thomas?
Yeah.
They win the division? Okay. Clip this. We're gonna play this back at the end of the season and see who was right. All right. Well,
That's fine.
that brings us to the end of the first quarter, and now we're heading into the second quarter. So there's going to be a lot of hype train jumping off on this episode because topic 2, we're talking about Baker Mayfield and those Cleveland Browns. Baker Mayfield and Cleveland Browns played pretty good so far this season until they've gone up against the elites, specifically the elites in their division, absolutely getting stomped by both Baltimore and Pittsburgh. So I ask you all the same question I asked about the Bills. Are we out on the Browns, and can they compete in this AFC North? Thomas, you're up first.
Oh, my goodness. I would like to send a message to all the Brown fans, coaching staff, players right now. They're sitting 4-2 in their division. You want to win the division? You want to have a chance of winning the division? You want to make some noise going into the playoffs? You want to know what to do? You want to know what to do? Run the football, okay? Chew the clock out. Get the ball out of Baker's hands, okay? The Browns lead the league in rushing. They average 169.5 yards per game, okay? Now, last week, they played a top 5 defense in literally every single category in Pittsburgh, okay? There's a lot of teams that have struggled to do well against Pittsburgh right now. So, Cleveland, you're actually not alone this time, all right? Baker was feeling himself. I'm pretty sure Cleveland was feeling himself as well. They got the 4-1 start, the first great start since the 90s, and it cost the team. Baker Mayfield, 10 for 18, 119 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, one of them being a pick 6, by the way. And he was sacked 4 times, all right? The Browns ranked 29th in the passing game with an average of 189.3 yards per game. So that puts into perspective about the impact that Baker's had on the offense. Yeah, and their offensive line improved over the offseason with some additions, especially at tackle with Cochran, for example. They've allowed 11 sacks so far. Okay, so by the way, can't give them many sacks if you're running the football. Okay, you got Kareem Hunt. Okay, you got Chubb that's on IR right now, but you still have a bona fide top 10 running back in Kareem Hunt who can do some damage to start getting the play action going for Baker so he doesn't have to throw the ball so much. Okay, now the thing with Cleveland is that they now have to worry about what's going on down the line. And I'm honestly not concerned. This upcoming Sunday, they play against the Bengals. We saw how the Bengals were with the Colts this past Sunday. Got a huge lead, gave it right up. So, what I'm saying is that Cleveland is just fine. It's just struggling to watch them play right now because they're feeling themselves and they're not getting to what got them to 4-1. That's running the football effectively. Okay, so you want to win some games. You want to be very, very plausible for all of us to watch and see. Run the football. Baker, run your play action with get Landry and Beckham the ball, so that way we don't have to worry about Beckham being traded to New England. Yeah, and that's the way the Browns can win right now.
Okay. Definitely have been missing a little bit in the running game ever since Nick Chubb went out. Kareem Hunt is still there. I do agree with you that they need to be running the ball a lot more. Keith, you seemed a little excited to get in on this topic, so let's go ahead and bring Keith in so he can slander the Browns and Baker Mayfield.
It's no secret that I'm not a huge Baker Mayfield fan. I never thought he was good coming out of college, but I did give them their respect when they were winning. I mean, they only lost the first game and then they lost the last game against the Steelers, but in between, they played really well. The Browns absolutely can compete for the AFC North, specifically if they stop relying on Baker Mayfield. When I was on 2 weeks ago, I talked about how they needed to limit Baker Mayfield's pass attempts to be successful. So in their 2 losses, he's thrown the ball 39 times and 18 times. He only threw it 18 times because he was replaced by Case Keenum later in the game. Probably would have threw for closer to 30 to 35 if he stayed in. In their 4 wins, he only threw the ball more than 30 times once. And the one time he did throw the ball more than 30 times, he had 2 interceptions. They still won, but he still threw for 2 interceptions. It was a closer game than what they needed it to be. I mean, it's pretty simple. When Baker Mayfield has the ball in his hands for more than it needs to be, bad things happen to around. Now, as already brought up, Nick Chubb is out. They don't know when he's going to be back for sure. But Kareem Hunt is mostly healthy. They still have 2 other backs on their depth chart. They just have to run the ball. It's like Ben Simmons shooting a 3. No one's going to care that Ben Simmons is shooting a 3. Like, teams aren't going to care if Baker Mayfield is just throwing the ball. That doesn't put fear in their heart. But when Baker Mayfield has time to throw the ball for play action passes, when the run game is successful, that's what made that team look really well. When they were targeting OBJ and getting him more involved in the offense, that's when that team looked really well. Baker Mayfield is good enough to be an NFL quarterback. There's no denying that. He is not good enough to be an elite NFL quarterback. And when they try to treat him as such, is when they run into problems. You get him throwing the ball, he is either going to fumble or he's going to get an interception. That's not trying to hate on the dude. The facts are the facts. When he has the ball, bad things happen. He turns the ball over. He just got to take the ball out of his hands.
So 30 does seem to be the magic number for Baker. Whenever you see, like in games that he's played, when they have him throw the ball 30 plus times, they tend to lose and they tend to struggle. When they have him throwing 24, 25, 26, 27 passes a game, it does seem like that team has a bit more success. Now, usually that means that that run game is going and they're taking the ball out of his hands. But Bill, let me hear what you think about the Cleveland Browns and Baker Mayfield. Can they compete in the AFC North?
Well, I mean, they can make the playoffs. If you mean compete means different things to different people. If you mean overcoming the Steelers or overcoming the Ravens, the answer is no. But once again, we have an expanded playoffs. So they can still find their way into the playoffs because of the extra added teams. Everyone's already said a lot about Baker Mayfield. What I will say is we haven't said enough about Odell Beckham Jr. If you find a way to get him the ball, it doesn't have to be necessarily – it can be shovel passes. It can be reverses. It can be running him out of the backfield. You can find him ways to get him the ball 8 to 12 times a game. And, as I mentioned earlier, run the ball. They'll put up points, and they have a good defense. A team that can get explosive plays, and they have the ability to get that because they have explosive players, and has a defense, is a threat. And the fact is, people keep talking about, Baker. Let's also talk about the psychology of the team. There's no way you can be a Browns player for 14 seconds and not have to fight negativity in your mind. If you're around the Browns facility, if you're flying over the Browns facility, if you're dropping off a food order to the Browns facility, you have to steel yourself to fight off negative thoughts. There is a cloud hanging over that particular franchise. So the fact that they're able to win games lets you know that they have the talent level there, but you have to learn certain things. They've learned how to beat bad teams and even how to beat the occasional average team. It's hard to learn to beat good teams when you're used to being bad. So there's going to have to be a switch that flips at some point. And it's not all on Baker Mayfield. It's on everybody. I mean, they've lost games a variety of different ways. And obviously Baker has certainly put them in some holes, but there have been other players that have caused some games, whether it be silly penalties, whether it be other guys, turning the ball over besides just him. But if you lean on your defense, you establish that running game. And as was mentioned earlier, Baker Mayfield is a guy that has a good arm. Not amazing, but a good arm. He's accurate, short to intermediate, and can, as we mentioned on those deep play action throws, can be accurate down the field. He's not a guy who doesn't have a level of talent. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo was playing in the Super Bowl not that long ago. Jimmy Garoppolo is not a special quarterback, people. Kirk Cousins was a guy that people were talking about as a top 6 to 8 quarterback. He's not special. He's not special in any way, shape, or form. But he was in a really great situation. Kevin Stefanski was with him. He had 2 good wide receivers, a really good running game. If you give a guy 2 really good wide receivers, a really good running game, the ability to make plays off play action, and you have a really good defense, you can make Kirk Cousins look like a top 8 quarterback. I'm telling you, Baker's at least as talented, if not more talented than Kirk Cousins. He could do the same things that Kirk Cousins was doing if you create a Kirk Cousins situation for him. You don't have to be elite.
Absolutely. I do agree with that. Let me get everyone back in here one more time before we head to halftime, because I do agree with that standpoint that Baker is talented enough to be an NFL quarterback. I do think, however, this Cleveland Browns defense has not lived up to their talent level. I think this Cleveland Browns defense has struggled, and that's also put them in bad situations. But again, one-word answer from each of you. Do the Cleveland Browns make the playoffs? Bill?
I'm going to say yes, but I don't feel great about it.
Okay. Thomas?
Absolutely not.
No? Okay. Keith?
I can't qualify. I have a good reason for saying so, but I will say no.
Okay, so we got another lone wolf, Bill. It's just you on this island. We're going to clip this, and we'll come back to it at the end of the season. All righty, so that's the second quarter, and we're about to head into halftime.
I was the only one that in the earlier show said the 49ers would make the playoffs.
That doesn't count.
What do you mean it doesn't count? What do you mean it doesn't?
They got the water boy from the middle school team down the road playing for them at this point.
Hey, when the Green Bay Packers won the Super Bowl, they had 22 players miss 4 or more games. Don't give me excuses. Give me production.
I like it. All righty, before we get into this third quarter, we're going to go into halftime, and we got a little bit of a commercial for you all. Real big production going on over here. So let's head into halftime.
The Team Nuts and Bolts Sports Store is officially open. Log on to www.teamnbsmerch.com and get your t-shirts, hoodies, polos, all sizes available. Once again, log on to teamnbsmerch.com. Get yours today.
Alrighty, so it's now the third quarter, ladies and gentlemen, and you know me being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, I am obligated to have my terrible towel with me. And in October, we wear pink.
I'm not surprised.
In October, we wear pink. Absolutely. You know how
Wait,
we
what's
do it
up
over
with the
here.
colors?
But
The colors are wrong. Did you wash it with something pink?
oh no, it's pink. No. For October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, in October we wear pink. So
Got it.
speaking of the Steelers are finally going to get their shot at the Tennessee Titans. This game was originally supposed to be played a couple weeks ago, rescheduled, had to have a bye week in week 4 because the Titans couldn't get their COVID situation figured out. Now we're finally getting this game played. And Bill, we're going to start with you. Who wins?
I've been looking at this game a lot. And in full disclosure, I've been a Steelers fan since September 17th of 1972. So I have a certain amount of bias. But I'm gonna say the Steelers, once again, I don't feel great about it. But I do think they're going to find a way to, and everyone knows this who's watched Derrick Henry even going back to his days of high school. He's a guy that needs to build up, right? He's a guy who he's not, Shady McCoy. He's not Barry Sanders. He's not Marshall Faulk. He's not a guy who has that instant stop-start. He's basically a freight train. And like a freight train, it takes a while to get up to full speed. Now, once he gets there, get off the tracks or else, blammo. But if you can get penetration, you can stop him from doing Derrick Henry things. And I think they're going to shoot a lot of gaps. I think you're going to see Minka Fitzpatrick run blitzing a lot. The loss of Devin Bush scares me. The thing that equaled it out was the loss of Taylor Lewan. And so when they lost, if we had lost Bush, but they still had Taylor Lewan, I would probably be picking the Titans. But the loss of Taylor Lewan, who is a beast, first of all, a terrific tackle in the pass protection game, but he's a beast in the run game. They pull him a lot, they put him in motion a lot. They move him around, and he finds guys on the second level, and it's like a gerbil hitting, being fired at 100 miles an hour into a wall. I mean, flat. He wipes people out in the run game. So I think it's going to be that, and I think they're going to get a couple of turnovers, but probably not interceptions. I think they'll punch some balls out. I think that one guy gets punched out from Henry, and maybe Jono Smith or somebody gets hit on a ball that they catch over the middle, gets a key turnover that way off of a punch out there, and I think they end up getting a late score. I think it's going to be like a 27-31 kind of game, with a late score putting them over.
Okay, so pretty high scoring game coming from Bill. All righty, I like it. Anything that ends in a Steelers W, I'm going to accept it. So, Thomas, you're the Philadelphia fan. How do you feel about this Steelers versus Titans game?
Oh, my goodness. I've been having a back and forth seesaw effect, thinking about who was going to win, and it's going to be very tough the way these two teams are playing right now. But I like Pittsburgh. Their defense is allowing 18.8 points per game to opponents, so that means that their defense is not allowing much scoring going on. They also allow 66.2 rushing yards per game. Now, I do think Derrick Henry is going to get his, but it will not be a repeat of what the Texans did this past week, allowing 200-plus yards to Derrick Henry. I believe that just to keep it going, the defense is second in yards allowed with 285.2. Okay, they lead the league in sacks. Sorry, with 24. They're tied for fourth in takeaways with 5. So that's just their defense alone. Roethlisberger, he's starting to be himself again. He has 1,178 yards passing so far this year. 11 touchdowns, just 1 interception. He's tied for first in the interception category, so that's always great. He's taking care of the football. And he has a 69.1 completion percentage. So, and another stat for him is that he's had an average passer rating of 109.1. So that means he's taking care of the football. He's giving it to the right people at the right time. Chase Claypool is going to be very dangerous because the Titans Yeah, they're not too great at this defense thing. Okay, they rank 26 in yards allowed with allowing 409.8 yards per game. Okay, they're 28th in sacks, so they're not getting after the quarterback. Okay, they only have 7 on the year. But however, they're very opportunistic by being tied for first in takeaways with 6. So um, it's very hard to judge on how the Titans defense, which is what I'm concerned by, which is the tipping point for me, how the Titans defense will stop the Steelers offense. Um, and I think that would be the issue for me. The Steelers also have a top 10 rushing attack with James Conner at the helm, uh, with 136.8 yards per game, which is ninth in the NFL. So, and oh, by the way, remember that whole sack thing I brought up earlier? The Steelers offensive line has allowed just 8 sacks on the season. So good luck on the Titans front 7 getting after Ben Roethlisberger, and good luck stopping the passing game. And I think it's going to be a tough out for the Titans. I think the score will be 34-24 Steelers.
Okay. Another high-scoring game. That's surprising to me that everyone kind of seems to have this as a high-scoring game. I do agree. The emergence of Chase Claypool has been huge for Pittsburgh this year. He looks like he's been arguably Rookie of the Year so far. That Steelers defense is really scary right now. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Keith, let me get your thoughts.
I'm not on the fence on this one at all. Just as Bill mentioned, the Steelers lost Devin Bush, and the Titans lost Taylor Lewan. The loss, I think, of Taylor Lewan is much greater at left tackle than it is for the loss of Devin Bush. And that's not a slight against Devin Bush whatsoever. He's great at his position. He's one of the best in the league, I think, in his position. But so is Taylor Lewan. Taylor Lewan might be the best in the league right now at his position. If you go to the Green Bay game, I mean, we see what happened when Aaron Rodgers lost his left tackle. He was running for his life the entire game. And part of what makes the Titans so good is Taylor Lewan with protecting Ryan Tannehill and creating holes for Derrick Henry. I mean, both teams are offensively prolific. I mean, the Titans are second in the league right now at almost 33 points a game. Steelers are less than a field goal behind at 31 points a game. But the difference is going to be the defense. As Tom's already mentioned, the Steelers only allow 287.2 yards per game. They're only allowing 18.8 points per game. The Titans give up 410 yards a game, and they allow 25 points a game. 3 times this year, the Titans have given up 30 points in a game. I mean, they were undefeated, but they still gave up 30 points 3 times. Even if it's just by a point, the Steelers haven't allowed a team to score 30 on them yet. In fact, they've held teams to under 20 points twice. With it essentially being a neutral field, with the way COVID is and a lack of fans and the number of people you can squeeze in a stadium, I just don't think the Titans defense has enough to get it done. If Ryan Tannehill is going to experience what it's really like to be running for his life with Taylor Lewan out, and I think that's the difference maker.
Okay. Can I get a final score from you?
27.
Else give me a final score.
27-17.
27. Okay.
I'm taking the under.
All right. I was gonna say that's kind of where I have this at. I'm more on the low scoring side of this. Pose another question for you all. Another one word answer. Does Derrick Henry completely throw someone out of the stadium again? Thomas.
Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Bill. Bill.
I don't know about throwing anyone out of the stadium, but he's going to definitely – their approach to defense won't allow that kind of thing. I mean, no offense to Josh Norman, who was in his prime a top 5 corner, but he's never been known as a terrific tackler. I know for a fact, because I've talked to people who've played for Pittsburgh, they teach you to chop that when you see the stiff arm, to chop at the elbow. You're not going to see that kind of thing. What you will see is him probably just truck somebody just because he's 251 pounds. I mean, he's going to run someone over, but it won't be one of those embarrassing deals like we saw with Josh Norman. No, not that. No, he's not going to get thrown out of the club. Not going to get bounced.
Gotcha. Keith.
He's going to make someone cry probably, but not throw him out of the stadium.
Okay. Also, speaking of Derrick Henry, did you guys see like his high school rushing numbers?
Yeah.
Can we talk about that real quick? Could you imagine rushing for like 330 yards, having over 40 carries, scoring like 3 touchdowns, and your team still loses by 23 points?
See, here's the thing. I'm a prideful man. If my kid is playing against a kid like Derrick Henry, I'm taking my kid off the field. They don't need to be subjected to that kind of punishment when they're just trying to have some fun. This is not necessary.
Wow.
I saw that and I was just like, what? I will be, do you understand how many people I would have to cuss out if I run for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns and we still get blown out?
Oh yeah.
That's insane. Absolutely insane.
I thought those numbers were fake, man. I thought somebody played a game of Madden, played on rookie mode, and just ran on the Jets defense all game long, and then they just plugged the numbers in. It was like, man, let's just see. Wow.
Next time you get bored, look at what Emmitt Smith did at his Cambia High when he was in high school. Look at Emmitt Smith's high school numbers. You want to see some crazy stuff. Or Ken Hall, the Sugarland Express, who I think in his 4 years of high school had over 11,245 yards rushing. There's some crazy high school numbers out there if you just want to see what guys did. Marcus Dupree had some stupid numbers from his high school days too.
Yeah, I'll just have my kid try some tennis. Get on the golf team.
Smart decision, Keith. All righty, guys. It's that time. Put your 4s up because we're heading into the 4th quarter.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, so going from 2 teams that are currently undefeated to 1 team that is surprisingly under 500 right now, and that is the New England Patriots. New England Patriots currently are sitting at 2-3. Now, they still have Bill Belichick. Hopefully they get Cam Newton back. Hopefully they get Stephon Gilmore back. I'm going to ask you all, though, can the Patriots bounce back? Keith, you're up first.
I mean, since we already kind of answered that question, I mean, the obvious answer for me is yes. As I said, the Bills are not going to win the division. But really, it depends on a certain amount of things. One, they face each other head-to-head twice still going into the rest of the season. That's going to be the most important. Other than that, you look at their remaining schedules. The Pats face the Jets twice. So you can chalk that up for 2 more wins right there. I mean, they still play the Ravens, the Rams, and the Cardinals, which I think are going to be tough games for them, but they have the ability to win 1, maybe 2 of those games. I don't think they'll beat the Ravens, but they can beat the Rams and or the Cardinals. The Bills, on the other hand, they only face the Jets 1 more time, but then they still have to face the Seahawks, the Steelers, the Niners, the Cardinals, and I'm going to be a little bit of a homer here, and don't sleep on the Denver Broncos. We may be 2-3, but for a 2-3 team, they still have a lot of talent. They play hard every down. It's not just a walk-in, you're going to win that game against that team. So with the schedule being in a Pats' favor, that's why I think they will win the division, just because on the back end of the Bills' schedule, they just have some games that are going to be really tough to win.
All righty. So they're going that they've got a favorable schedule moving forward. That's pretty smart. All righty. Thomas, let me hear what you got to talk about when it comes to the Patriots.
Okay, let me start off by saying that at 2-3 in the division where Buffalo has an easier schedule than you, has much more talent than you. I don't see them finding a way to get to the postseason. All right. As presently constructed, no. Cam Newton, he leads the team in passing yards and rushing yards. 871 passing yards, 225 rushing yards. That is with the same backfield as Rex Burkhead, James White, and Sony Michel. Okay. He's been sacked 9 times. He's thrown 4 interceptions and just 2 touchdowns. So this whole thing about Belichick preaching the take care of the football, that's not working so far with Cam. However, he does have 5 rushing touchdowns. But my main concern is this wide receiving core. Okay, I just have a stat for you guys, and I want y'all to let this simmer into your minds real quick. The following wide receivers had 15 plus receiving targets from Cam Newton: Rex Burkhead, James White, N'Keal Harry, Damiere Byrd, and Julian Edelman. Julian Edelman is the only pass catcher with 20 plus receptions, and he just has 20. Okay, 16 drops for Edelman, 9 drops for Byrd, 12 drops for Harry, 5 drops for Burkhead. Okay, Newton can only do so much. Okay, they're 25th in passing the football right now, so that lets you know how effective they are in that regard. They rank 9th against the pass, so the defense is not necessarily the issue in letting deep balls go down the field on them. They're second in the league in rushing, so the running game is working. Maybe you use a multitude of running backs that would help in that regard. They rank middle of the pack against the run, so the defense is not too great against the run, but they can stop a cold. The good news that's in their favor right now is that their right guard, Shaq Mason, practiced fully today after coming off the reserve COVID-19 list. And what has worked against New England thus far, especially with this recent game against Denver, the last week in the game before playing Denver, 2 practices in 2 weeks. Bill Belichick, as great as a coach as he is, he loves preparation. He loves time to prepare. He didn't get that. And the fact that they're having issues with COVID right now would hinder that as well. And so I think even that would be a little bit of a struggle. And they still found a way to hold Denver to just field goals with a loss. So going down the stretch, it will be a little bit of a challenge holding teams to just field goals. Which is why I think Cam and the Patriots are going to be a little bit of a struggle. Now, if they get Julio Jones, which apparently the Falcons are shopping, even though Julio just went off last week, that might change things. If they get Odell Beckham Jr., if they get some type of playmaker on the outside, I think that'll do wonders for them. But for right now, presently constructed, I don't see them going very far.
Very, 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 very interesting. No playoffs for the Patriots. Is that what I heard from you, Thomas?
There's just too many good teams right now. I have to see a lot of progression with New England before I sit up there and say that they're a playoff team. Right now, they're not. If they were in the playoffs right now, they'll be 1-0. I'm sorry. That's how they're playing right now.
Okay. Well, the Titans showed that you don't need to practice or play games to still play good, because they didn't play for like 16 days and then actually laid the smackdown on the Buffalo Bills Tuesday night. Yeah. Finally, Bill, come in here. Tell me about this New England Patriots team.
Well, first of all, 2 things that we just heard. I can't disagree with what was just said about the paucity of good targets. And Devin Asiasi, the rookie that some people were touting coming into the season, hasn't really done anything. The run game has been productive, but it's very Cam-centric, as we all know. And then you add to that that Cam has tried to do too much at times, which has led to some of the turnovers you heard about. I'm going to tell you something that most of you probably know. Bill Belichick is really good at fixing things, and he's going to get most, if not all, those things fixed. Now, whether or not they manage to acquire somebody, whether they develop somebody, they're going to find somebody in the passing game they can rely on, whether it be a tight end, could be a running back out of the backfield, as they did for so many years, guys like Kevin Falk or, James White or somebody. They're going to find somebody in the passing game. Might be a tight end, might be a running back, might be a wide receiver. And they're going to get Cam to be more careful with the football. But most importantly, that defense, which is still solid, is going to get better. It takes a while. And we just mentioned, obviously, how someone just talked about, I think the term was once used, practice fetishist. Bill Belichick was kept from the greatest joy in his life, which is football practice. When he gets back with the tape, right? I mean, got to watch the film. So he's watching the film, and then he's going to find all the things. I mean, all the things that his team is doing wrong, and he's going to get those things fixed. He's really good at getting those things fixed. You're going to see that team get better and better and better as the weeks go on. And as some teams begin to sort of run on fumes, some teams get off to a hot start and then sort of peter out. The Patriots are going to do the exact opposite. They're going to stumble around. They might even stumble around in a week or two, but they're going to hit a stride about midpoint of the season. You're going to see them win 5 out of 8, 6 out of 8, 11 or not 11, but yeah, 8 out of 11, that kind of thing. I mean, they're the kind of team that can get hot. And it's not just about talent. Like we always talk about talent. We love talent. We all like to watch talent. But we've seen Patriots teams that didn't have great talent win Super Bowls before.
Absolutely. That has been their MO. They don't always have the best players, but the players that they have typically play the best. I'm going to do one more one-word answer from you. Or, well, you can't do this one in one word, so I'll let you guys talk a little bit on this one. Thomas, I know you said you're a little iffy on it, but let's just say that the Patriots make the playoffs. How far do they go? Thomas, you start.
Like I said, I think they're a one and done team. We've seen it over the past 2 years. You do need talent on either side of the ball to be very effective in the playoff run, the deep playoff run. You saw it last year with Patrick Mahomes and the crew and what he was able to do. And the moment that they got a good defense out of Tyrann Mathieu in that front seven, they were able to produce a Super Bowl. So with New England, the struggle that happened with them last season is that they figured that, hey, if we can rely on Tom Brady, then we'll be just fine. If we, because the defense is going to cover up for it. Don't worry about it. I know we don't have a very great receiving core, but we'll be just fine. The problem is you're going to come across better defenses like Pittsburgh, defenses like Kansas City to a lesser degree, who are going to get after Cam Newton. They're going to stop the running game. They're great at that. So especially with the teams that are already in the playoff picture, I just see them as one and done because they just can't handle having to get the ball down the field. They don't have it right now.
All right, one and done from Thomas. Keith, how far do the Patriots go this postseason?
The thing that they have to their advantage is because I think they win the division, they get a home field game if they make the playoffs. When they make the playoffs, if they win the division. I think they can win one. I mean, they would be playing a Colts, a Browns, maybe the Raiders, maybe the Dolphins. We'll see how that plays out. They can beat either of those teams. All the teams above them, no shot. But because they play an inferior team and have that home field advantage for that one game, I think they win one game, but they don't move further past that.
Okay, so Thomas has them losing first round. Keith has them winning one game. Bill, how about you?
Well, I'd like to split the difference and say half a game, but I can't. I also agree. I think in the right circumstances, they could win one game. And as much as I really admire Bill Belichick in his ability to, make chicken salad out of chicken byproducts, I truly believe that they'd be hard-pressed. I think one game is possible. They'd be hard-pressed to win that game. He'll have to do some wizard stuff. but they could probably figure out a way to win one game just because they're so good at figuring out things.
Okay. So we have 1 win max for the Patriots. Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's been 4 quarters of No Huddle Necessary, and that means it's time to pick a winner. So who are we going to send to the back first? You know, our host, Jeffrey Barnes, usually has a very, very famous quote, and one that's near and dear to my heart because I love the movie. If you're not first, you're last. So doesn't really matter. You're not the one who won today. Doesn't mean that you were second. Doesn't mean that you were last, but you got to get out of here. And we're going to send Keith to the back.
Oh.
Oh, this is fun. I see why Jeff enjoys this. This is fun sending guys to the back. This is fun. I enjoy this. All righty. So, Bill and Thomas, both of you made really great arguments. Everyone made great arguments tonight. However, one of you eked out 1 point more than the other. And that was Bill. Bill, you are the winner. Thomas, sorry. Bill, the FaceTime goes to you. So go ahead and share your thoughts.
Well, there's a lot of things that have been on my mind recently, but I'm going to focus for the moment on what's going on in Washington. And obviously, we sort of laughed at the quote-unquote Washington football team, but I really believe there's a strong opportunity there. They're trying to change a really problematic and frankly poisonous corporate culture. And they've brought in, I think, some of the right people. Ron Rivera is one of the most respected coaches in football, and they brought in, obviously some people can question them bringing in Jason Wright. He's only 38 years old. I remember scouting him as a player, going up to Evanston and watching him play running back. But what he's doing and what they are doing is they're taking a culture that had really been, quite frankly, sort of demeaning and very sort of, slap on the back, old boys club, 3 martini lunch kind of culture, and trying to change it into a real football team kind of culture. And it won't be easy. They're going to have a tough, hard slog ahead of them. They have to get rid of some people. They have to encourage some people to take, early retirement or what have you, to bring in some of the right people. Because the league is better when our nation's capital has at least representative football team, a team that we're not ashamed of, we're not embarrassed by. And I don't have a dog in the fight, really. I mean, I grew up in Virginia. I think I'm one of 2 people who grew up, but I didn't have a really close affinity to the team, at least in part because of their rather racist nickname and other things that I witnessed. And obviously, we all had a very proud moment when Doug Williams went out there and became a Super Bowl MVP. But that franchise is no longer that franchise anymore, at least in parts because obviously Jack Kent Cooke, who was a really great owner, he's dead, but he also, sold the team. The team is no longer in that family's hands anymore. And the culture that came in after that was dismissive of women, dismissed the concerns of Native American people. It was a culture that really thought it knew better than anybody else. And so you had people who operated believing that no matter what anyone else said, they knew better. And now they have a culture of people who actually listen and are respectful and care about what other people have to say. If they do this right, one is they'll win more football games, quite frankly, but more equally as important, put it that way, they'll stop being an embarrassment to the league and to our nation's capital. Those are my thoughts. And I really hope that Jason Wright and the new team there in that team, in the football team, are given a chance to fix what was broken.
All right, I absolutely agree. Listen, my disdain for Snyder and the way that he has run this organization has been loud and on record for quite some time. So I completely agree with you there. One thing I disagree with you, Bill, not a 3 martini for lunch guy? What's wrong with that?
Well, I mean, I guess if you're not planning to go back to work, I guess it's not such a bad thing. But they had a very fast and loose, I guess is the way to put it, kind of way of doing business there, and it got them into trouble. And they deserve to get into trouble, quite frankly. More trouble than they've even gotten into. There should be more trouble for the people that were doing the things they were doing there. And it was, like I said, it created a place where women didn't feel safe.
Absolutely. Keith and Thomas, bring you guys back in here. You guys have any thoughts on Bill's final words?
Let me put it this way, right or wrong, if you can't handle a single martini at lunch, you can't work for me. You got to go work somewhere else.
Well, I can work for you if you do allow martinis at work. Where do I go for that?
I work at home right now, so I have a martini for lunch every day.
Thomas?
Oh man. If going back to what Bill said as far as just the culture, I'm surprised that nobody really talks about this enough, but I kind of see that it's not really the same. But we talk about this with Tampa, with Tom being there, about how he was so accustomed to everything being so direct and straight to the point, non-disciplinary, and in New England. So now that he's in Tampa, where it's been so used to this environment of being loose and go crazy, party on Friday so that we can play the game on Sunday, knowing we're not going to do well. Oh, don't worry about it. It's just the best team in the division or whatever the case may be. To now, a team in Tampa now who's one of the best teams in the NFC because they know how to take care of the football, as shown this past Sunday against Green Bay. So just seeing a dynamic and culture change is really cool to see. And even with Washington, me being an Eagles fan, I know for a lot of people it may turn people the wrong way, but I'm actually very impressed with how they've played last week against New York. Ron Rivera, he's fighting a much bigger cause than what's on the football field right now, just to give some light to that. And the fact that he is still coaching the team to the best of their ability and they're playing to the best of their ability for him, I think that's to be respected. And even if they're not getting out the wins, the fact they're playing hard from start to finish, I think that's to be complimented. So I just thought I'd shed some light on that.
All right.
In all seriousness, I mean, I'm not naive enough to think that the things that happen in Washington don't happen anywhere else. They may not happen to the level that they did in Washington, but I mean, if you look at what happened in Louisville with Rick Pitino, what do you think happens in the NFL where there are much less rules and less restrictive? So, I mean, it's easy to pick on Washington because they were the team that got caught, but I'm sure there is a much larger issue with that the NFL should seriously consider looking at and correcting if they really are what they say they're about. That's up for debate. You can have a whole show on that, but there probably is other things that have been swept under the rug that they need to take care of.
Absolutely. I agree. All righty. So we've had a pretty good show today. You guys have all been phenomenal. We're gonna get ready to wrap this up. Before we wrap this up, though, I do want to ask each of you one quick question. This is a little bonus quarter. So I have one quick question. None of you guys were prepared for this. This is a question I thought of not recently before the show started. Tua is going to be the starter in Miami. Do you like it? Yes or no? Keith?
I think it's disrespectful. No. I mean, yeah, he may be the future of the team, but it's not like they're losing right now. Ryan Fitzpatrick is not the future of the franchise, but he's been playing well. What's the point of benching him right now? I think they kind of did him a little dirty.
Okay. Thomas?
I feel like Ryan Fitzpatrick right now. It feels heartbroken knowing that I lost my job playing as well as I did. Back-to-back weeks, double-digit wins, by the way. One of them being against San Francisco. Yeah, I know the defense isn't the same, but everybody's talking about Jason Verrett and what he did Sunday night. So just putting that in perspective, I would feel I'm not sure if betrayed would be the word, because you saw this coming, but this early, I don't know. I have to see how Tua does.
All right, and Bill, our winner for today. Let's hear your thoughts.
I'm a big Ryan Fitzpatrick fan. Going back to his high school days in Arizona, He was a three-sport athlete, goes to Harvard, has a great career there, fights his way into the league as a seventh-round draft pick. But we all knew, what's the Bob Dylan line? You don't have to be a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. We all knew this was coming. And when they put him in at the end of the game, they were clearly doing something other than giving him a nice poignant moment to call mom and dad. They were trying to prepare the team for here's the coming, right? And when you invest an early first-round draft pick in a quarterback, nowadays at least, people start wanting to unwrap their presents early. Some people like to be that midnight present unwrapper, right? They don't wait till they wake up in the morning and stay up late to unwrap the present. That's the way it is now. Look, I'm old school. I used to, guys used to wait on the bench 2-3 years sometimes before they finally won a job. But that's not the way things are done anymore. People just don't have the patience for it. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. Would I would love to see Fitzpatrick get a few more starts? Sure. But clearly they want to see their bright, shiny toy. So we're going to see. Now, if they break that toy, they're going to be mighty sad. But everybody wants to see the bright, shiny toy, so we're going to see it.
All righty. Well, like I said, you all have been absolutely amazing today. So thank you all for coming on. Great arguments from everyone. But I'm going to send you all to the back so we can wrap this up. All righty. So this has been another episode of No Huddle Necessary. And before I get out of here, I just want to go ahead and let you guys again know you saw the commercial at halftime. Go ahead, check out the Nuts and Bolts Sports merch, man. We got a bunch of good stuff on there. Hoodies, t-shirts, all that good stuff, all that good jazz, stuff that you can need. Go ahead, check it out. Nuts and Bolts Sports merch. Would really appreciate it. But this has been another episode of No Huddle Necessary. Like I said, I'm Dominic Shirosky filling in for Jeff Barnes. Hopefully I did a good job of holding down the fort. I was sitting in the big chair today. I think I did a good job. If anything, I think this was at least a more handsome edition of No Huddle Necessary. But hey, that's just me. But thank you all for listening, and we'll see you guys next week.